Hello, and this is Stenson by Scribblestick. A reading. Read by kilodel. Sorry I haven't done any reading for a long time. I did actually do another reading, but it didn't get onto the YouTube channel, the Doompi Network. Sorry about that. And it won't be on the Doompi Network, actually. Okay, here's Stenson. Without further ado, Stenson! Stenson.
The spirits of the elements of harmony are right here.
Applejack wasn't sure what Twilight was talking about, but she knew the unicorn needed her help, and she took to her place beside her newest friend. She knew she wasn't going to back down now. The little piles of stone at Nightmare Moon's hooves began to glow with a mysterious light, much to the dark mare's bewilderment.
Applejack, who reassured me when I was in doubt, represents the spirit of honesty,
Twilight continued. Several stones began circling the orange earth pony, glowing with a strange orange light. Twilight continued to highlight each of the pony's strengths, from Fluttershy's kindness to Rainbow Dash's loyalty. Another orb appeared in the air above her and transformed into a magnificent crown. Together, the six ponies unleashed the magic of the elements of harmony, stripping Nightmare Moon of her dark powers, once and for all. The effort took a lot out of them, but it didn't seem to take long to recover. "Gee, Twilight," Applejack said once everyone had calmed down a little, "I thought you were spouting a lot of hooey, but I reckon we really do represent the elements of friendship." It was a lie. Of course it was a lie. Sure, every pony thought she was an honest, hard-working, strong-willed farm pony, but as Applejack stared at her reflection, she had to face reality. When you got down to it, she wasn't any more honest than any pony else. The only difference was her lies mattered. Applejack stared into her own green eyes for a long time. The sun was setting, and the shadows were creeping up the green floral print wallpaper that decorated her room. Her old Stenson hung over her green lamp on the nightstand. In front of her lay a blue brush. She undid the red ribbon that had held her mane in a ponytail, and let the yellow hair fall naturally over her shoulder. Her eyes never left the own image in the mirror. She carefully strapped the brush to her hoof and began running it through her mane in a slow, familiar rhythm, knocking loose several stray twigs and leaves that had lodged themselves in her mane during the day. All the while her green eyes stared back at her, forcing her to face the truth. The element of honesty had chosen her, or so Twilight and the princess had said, but she had used that privilege to save Equestria not once, but twice. So, it must be true. But always back in her mind was that doubt, the question she could never answer or ask. Why? Applejack saw the stallion walking up the farmhouse, and ran outside to meet him.
Pa, Pa, guess what Big Mac and I did today? Guess.
"Slow down there, Jackie," Pa said with a laugh. "Your daddy's had a long day."
Aw, come on,
Applejack pressed, skipping alongside her father.
I'll give you a hint. It has something to do with the southeast orchard.
"Southeast orchard, huh?" Pa repeated. One look at the mountain of apples in the barn told him everything he needed to know, but he decided to humor his daughter. "Let's see. Did you catch a rabbit?"
Nope,
Applejack answered with a giggle.
guess again.
Hmm. He scratched his chin thoughtfully. "Did you find buried treasure?"
Pa,
Applejack fell to the ground, her laughing doubling.
come on, one more guess.
"Gee, I don't know, honey," Pa said, laughing along with her. "Pa, Applejack and I finished bucking the southeast orchard," said Big Mac as he trotted out of the barn.
Big Mac, Applejack yelled, glaring up at her older brother, you ruined the surprise.
"You two did that? All by yourselves?" Pa smiled at his children, though they weren't smiling at each other at the moment. "You must have worked hard all day. I bet you're plumb tuckered out." "Naw, I could buck them apples all day," Big Mac replied.
Yeah, right, Applejack said. You're the one who wanted to quit halfway through.
"What do you know?" Big Mac beamed. "All you do is carry the baskets."
Now, kids, Pa said. Don't you stop fighting. You know your mama hates it when you quarrel.
"Yes, Pa, yes, Pa," the two young'uns murmured.
Good. Go get cleaned up for supper.
I'm sure your ma has whipped up something delicious." Applejack felt the brush snag on a tangle of hair. She carefully worked her way through it until it came undone. The brush caught in the same place a couple more strokes before it ran smoothly once again. If only every tangle and tug would be worked out so easily. Apple Bloom's laughter drifted into the room from somewhere outside. Applejack stopped brushing and gave her reflection a hard stare. Her sister had never asked about their parents. Not directly, anyway. But Applejack knew she had plenty of opportunities to tell her. Granny Smith and Big Mac knew, but they wouldn't tell. They would leave it to Applejack, and no matter what she told herself, Applejack couldn't bring herself to tell her sister the truth about what happened. She didn't need another angry, accusing glare to haunt her memories.
Applejack, dear, would you fetch me the pie tin?
Applejack retrieved the tin, with a sigh, and resumed staring glumly at the countertop.
This is boring,
she murmured.
Well, some pony has to do it,
Ma said as she placed the carefully crafted pie crust in the tin.
We can't all be out in the orchard, otherwise who would cook?
Why do I have to stay inside? Applejack asked, hoping her pleading stare would convince her mother to let her venture outdoors. I'm no good at cooking.
Pony feathers,
Ma said with a chuckle.
You're the best apple slicer I've ever seen.
I don't want my cutie marked in apple slicing, Applejack muttered as she picked up the knife and resumed her work.
Well, what's wrong with that, Sugar Cube?
Ma asked as she filled her pie crust with apples.
Your Granny Smith has a pie-making cutie mark.
But that's not me! Applejack cried.
Well, then you've got nothing to worry about,
Ma replied, placing a top crust on the pie before sliding it carefully into the oven. Soon the smell of fresh apple pie filled the kitchen, making Applejack's stomach rumble. Applejack winced as a beam of sunlight bounced off the mirror and struck her eyes. She walked to the window and pulled the blue flower print curtains closed. She caught a glimpse of Big Mac hauling some apples towards the house. It looked like Granny Smith was getting ready for another batch of apple pies, but Applejack didn't feel like helping. Not today. Besides, Apple Bloom was more than happy to slice the apples. A photo on her nightstand caught her gaze. It was a picture of her mother's brother and his wife, Aunt and Uncle Orange. The memory of her brief stay in Manhattan had brought a momentary smile to her face, but the smile disappeared when she remembered why she left in the first place. She returned to the mirror and continued brushing her mane, though she knew she'd done it for long enough already. The feel of the bristles running through her hair helped her remind the time before she learned what her lies could do.
Hold still,
Ma said, trying to hold Applejack in place with one hoof and brush her mane with the other. Applejack protested, crossing her forelegs with a scowl.
That's no excuse to leave the house with a messy mane, even if there's a big storm coming tonight.
Her mother replied, tying Applejack's mane back with a piece of ribbon.
There, you'll look lovely.
Applejack kept pouting, but when she looked in the mirror she had to admit Ma was right.
Can I go now?
Ma sighed.
All right, but be careful.
Applejack leapt to her hooves and bolted from the room before Ma could change her mind. This concludes part 1 of Stenson, read to you by Kilodel. Let's listen to a whole bunch of times when I messed up reading this thing. This is Stenson by... Who is it by? Hello everyone, and this is Kilodel reading Stenson by Scribblestick. If there's a loud background noise, sorry, that is someone mowing the lawn! I'm gonna close my window. The little piles of stone at Nightmare Moon's twilight continued to highlight each of the pony's strengths. I thought you were just spouting a whole lot of hooey, but I reckon we really represent the armor element. But I reckon we really do represent. But I reckon we really do represent the elements of friendship. But I reckon we really do. I'm going into my Sean Connery voice. Shaken, not stirred.